If you thought the Donner Party had a tough road, get a load of Wisconsin volleyball and what they have coming up.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings. Thank you for being a part of the #1 sports podcast network. Appreciate you being here. Today's episode, let's talk Wisconsin volleyball. What we saw in their matches against Kentucky and Louisville, and then two big-time opportunities coming up on the schedule. I mentioned it at the beginning. Volleyball just jumps right in. Like, it's sink or swim. You've played number 3 Kentucky. You played top 10 Louisville. You've got number 5 Stanford coming up on Friday. You've got number 4, Pittsburgh coming up on Sunday. It's just like bam, 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 bam. It's great. You drop right into some incredible matches. Let's talk really quickly what we saw. Pfizer, Kentucky, Badgers, Louisville. Badgers start off the season. They get swept by Kentucky. Really good Kentucky team. A lot of size. Badgers kind of struggled dealing with some of that size all match long. Although that second set, they were close. It finished 24-26, and they led for a good chunk of that. But Kentucky just kind of overwhelmed them a little bit. And you can tell Coach Sheffield's a lot of moving pieces, moving parts, trying to figure out how to construct this roster. A lot of really interesting athletes, but maybe not some of the traditional size the Badgers have had the last couple of years. I thought Jaela Auguste looked incredible. Like, she looked great. It was good to see Grace Lopez back out there. There's a lot of fun pieces on this team, but Kentucky just kind of dominated that match for the most part, winning in 3-0. But then the Badgers turn around the next day and they bounce right back. And it's great credit to them. They beat Louisville three sets to nothing. And a lot of that wasn't very close. And they kind of dominated for the most part in that match. Again, Grace Egan was great in that. Fuerbringer was great in that. She won the MVP of that. And then Jaela Auguste again looked really good. It was a really nice back performance for this team. But there's no rest for the weary. Coming up this Friday, you've got Stanford, number 5 in the country, in a team that the Badgers saw last year in the Sweet 16. This is a rematch of that. The Badgers did win that 3-1. But a lot of that Stanford team that was really, really good last year is back. And let's talk through a couple of the key pieces here. So that Stanford team is going to be anchored by Lizzy Andrew, 6'5" junior middle blocker, just a big physical presence. And so the type of size that Kentucky gave Wisconsin issues with, that's the first player I think if you're looking at Stanford, you want to focus there. Returning second team All-American against Wisconsin last year, 10 kills, had a really good hitting percentage. You got Logan Parks, 6' sophomore, really, really good, honorable All-Mention All-American, great setter, at 51 assists against Wisconsin in that Sweet 16. And then you got Julia Bleichoff out of Ohio, 6'3", long, athletic, really emerged last year, second team All-ACC, at 14 kills against Wisconsin in that NCAA matchup. You're going to have an interesting matchup in this one in the middle, right? You got Lizzy Andrew, Stanford, 6'5" middle blocker. It's already an All-American. And then Wisconsin is going to counter with Auguste. You got 6'5" freshman Tarnow in the middle. That's going to be an interesting matchup. And then as the setters go, you got Fuerbringer against Parks. Really, really interesting matchups across the board here. And Stanford's coming in for some revenge, quite frankly, after what happened last year. And then you go from that, you go right into Pittsburgh Sunday. You got to go there. They're really, really difficult to deal with there. And they're not just loaded on paper. They've already looked really good this year. That same Kentucky team that kind of unceremoniously swept Wisconsin out in Pfizer, Pittsburgh beat them 3-1. They held Kentucky to, they kind of smothered them. Had 14 blocks against that Kentucky team that physically gave Wisconsin a lot of issues. And you got to start, if you're looking at Pittsburgh, you got to start the 6'4" Olivia Babcock, who's probably the best player Wisconsin's going to face this year, almost certainly, unless there's some freshman that pops up. Babcock is a 6'4" senior, 2-time defending National Player of the Year. You're talking crazy pedigree here. She put up 27 kills against Kentucky. Again, a Kentucky team that Wisconsin struggled, getting that type of performance out of. Babcock dominated them, had 27 kills, followed it up with a really good performance against Xavier. She's the most dangerous player Wisconsin's probably going to see this year, one of the best players in volleyball. That's going to be a tough matchup. You got Izzy Stark, 6'1" junior. They brought her over from Penn State, 2024 Big Ten Freshman of the Year. In her Pitt debut against Kentucky, she had 41 assists, 13 digs, and 5 blocks. So look for Babcock, look for Stark. And then they got a major newcomer, Ariana Watson, 6'2", freshman, one of the top recruits in the country. Through her first 2 matches, 14 kills, only 1 error on 35 swings. Listen, Wisconsin's not going to shut down Babcock. Like, that's kind of the matchup. But can you make her a little less efficient, right? Can you take those 27 kills that she had on efficiency to more like 17 to 20? Make her take some difficult swings, maybe put her in some tough spots. And then they're going to have to serve really well. They're going to have to really put that Pittsburgh defense, which is tremendous. It's always pretty good for them. They're going to have to put their Pittsburgh defense on the back foot a little bit, make some of those swings, make some of those returns a little more difficult for the Badgers. In terms of players that I thought really kind of stood out for me, I thought Flanagan looked really good. Going back to the Badger side, that's a really fun, young, athletic kid. And then again, Jaela Auguste was tremendously explosive. I thought she performed great in Pfizer. She's going to be a big key to the season as well. So I'm excited for it. We'll talk after these matches. Again, both of them are tough. If you can get a split, I think you're doing really well. And I think Stanford's probably the easier matchup for you. Pittsburgh has looked great this year, and they're loaded. They're big. They got athletes. It's going to be a great 1-2 matchup this weekend, or great, two matches this weekend. And we're going to get back to you after we see them, see how it does. But yeah, volleyball just jumps right in, and I'm excited for it. Can't wait to see it on Wisconsin as always. We will be back talking to you again tomorrow. Until then, mañana.